They say Maurice Gibb made one last call to his brother Barry, and Barry never picked up. It's the kind of story that lingers in your chest like a wound, the idea of a final chance, missed forever. But here's the truth. No biography, no interview, no official report has ever confirmed that such a call took place. It remains only a whisper, a rumor, and yet the weight of that possibility hangs over Barry's life like a shadow. Because what happened in Maurice's final days was haunting enough, and for Barry, those hours marked the moment when the music and the brotherhood nearly died with him. This is RetroWaves, where we dive deep into the hidden stories behind the legends. If you love music history, if you love the truth mixed with the mysteries that keep us awake at night, make sure you're subscribed. Because today we're stepping into the final chapter of Maurice Gibb's life, and the rumor Barry never escapes. Maurice Ernest Gibb was never the loudest BG. He didn't crave the spotlight like Robin, and he didn't wield the band's direction like Barry. But those who knew the brothers best always said the same thing. Maurice was the glue. On stage, he stood slightly to the side, his bass guitar slung low, his head tilted with that mischievous grin. In the studio, he was a multi-instrumentalist, the one who could pick up a guitar, a keyboard, or even a drum kit and make it work. When the Bee Gees were recording Staying Alive, it was Maurice who pushed through endless takes to get the groove exactly right, and when Barry and Robin inevitably clashed, as strong-willed brothers often do, Maurice played referee. He was the peacemaker, the calming voice, the brother who never let the band collapse under its own weight. But away from the music, Maurice had battled demons. Years of drinking in the 1980s nearly destroyed him. At his worst, he was hospital-bound and estranged from his family. But in 1991, he got sober, and he stayed sober. Friends said the transformation was remarkable. Maurice became sharper, kinder, more present. He laughed more, he worked harder, he became, once again, the beating heart of the Bee Gees. By the turn of the millennium, the Bee Gees were in what many called their second golden age. They had been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1997. They would survive the brutal disco backlash of the late 70s and reinvented themselves as elder statesmen of pop. Their catalog was selling better than ever, their concerts still packed with fans who had grown up with their soundtracks. To the world they looked untouchable, but inside the Gibb family, storm clouds were gathering. Maurice had begun experiencing abdominal pain in late 2002. He brushed it off at first, thinking it was indigestion, or maybe the lingering effect of years of drinking. What no one knew was that a deadly condition was slowly building inside him. On January 10, 2003, Maurice woke up in pain that was impossible to ignore. It wasn't just discomfort, it was agony. His wife Yvonne rushed him to Mount Sinai Medical Center in Miami Beach. Doctors quickly realized this was no ordinary stomachache. Scans revealed a twisted intestine, a condition known as volvulus. It's rare, but it can be devastating. If blood flow is cut off, tissue dies. Infection spreads. Time runs out quickly. Maurice was taken into surgery. Family members gathered anxiously, waiting for updates. Barry and Robin, though used to crises in the public eye, were suddenly thrust into a private nightmare. The surgery was successful, at first, but then came the unthinkable. Maurice went into cardiac arrest. His heart stopped. Doctors fought to revive him, but the damage was irreversible. At 53 years old, Maurice Gibb was gone. The news hit the world like a thunderclap. Fans who had danced to Night Fever and wept to How Deep Is Your Love couldn't believe it. Robin and Barry were devastated. Andy, their youngest brother, had died back in 1988. Now Maurice, the twin soul, the peacekeeper, was gone too. Barry later described it as the darkest moment of his life. "It's the first time in my life I've ever had to face life on my own," he admitted in one rare interview. Because for Barry, Maurice wasn't just a brother. He was his shadow, his partner, his unshakable anchor. Though Barry was older, he often said that Maurice felt like his twin. They finished each other's sentences. They shared a private shorthand in the studio, little nods, half smiles, gestures no one else would catch. Barry was the leader, but Maurice was his compass. He backed Barry up when Robin challenged him. He brought laughter when tension boiled over. He steadied the stage when the spotlight grew too heavy. In later years, Barry often looked back and admitted that Maurice had been his safety net. "I leaned on him more than I ever realized," Barry confessed. "He was my best friend." And that's what makes the rumor so haunting. In the weeks and months after Maurice's death, stories began circulating. whispers in fan forums, anecdotes shared in conversations. One story rose above the rest, that Maurice had tried to call Barry before he went into surgery. The call, they say, went unanswered. Barry never picked up, and Maurice was gone before he had another chance. It's a story that cuts deep because it feels possible. Everyone knows the pain of a missed call, a missed chance. For Barry, whose entire life was built on harmony with his brothers, the idea of missing that one call is almost too much to bear. But here's the reality. No credible source has ever confirmed it. No news report, no official biography. Barry himself has never admitted it. It remains exactly what it is, a rumor, and yet, the rumor endures. Why does this story persist? Maybe because it fits with what Barry has admitted in other ways. He has spoken openly about regret, about guilt, about feeling he could have done more for his brothers. So fans filled in the gaps. They imagined a final phone ringing in a Miami hospital, unanswered on the other end. They imagined Barry carrying that regret like a scar. True or not, it speaks to something universal, the fear of missing our last chance to say goodbye. In the days after Maurice's death, Barry was nearly mute. Robin gave more interviews. Barry retreated. Those who saw him said he was pale, hollow, as though part of him had gone with his brother. The rumor of the missed call may never be proven, but Barry's grief was undeniable. His body language, his words, his silence, they all said the same thing. He was broken. And if the story of the unanswered call survives, maybe it's because it feels like the symbol of Barry's heartbreak. The call he couldn't answer, the voice he would never hear again. Maurice Gibb's death shocked the world. But for Barry, it wasn't just the end of a bandmate. It was the loss of his anchor, his mirror, his other half. And that's why the rumor of the missed call cuts so deep, because true or not, it represents everything Barry lost that night, and everything he could never get back. But grief doesn't end with a funeral, and for Barry, the years that followed would be marked by something even more unbearable, learning to live without the one person who had always been by his side. And in part 2, we'll step into that silence, into Barry's world after Maurice, and we'll ask the question no rumor can answer: how do you keep singing when your voice has been broken in two? When Maurice died in January 2003, the world reacted with shock. But inside the Gibb family, the silence was deafening. Robin, usually the emotional one, stepped forward to speak publicly, thanking fans for their love. But Barry stayed mostly in the shadows. His grief was too raw. He appeared pale, shaky, his words measured and heavy. He later admitted something that broke fans' hearts. "I didn't know how to go on without him," and that's where the rumor of the missed call keeps returning like a ghost. Because for fans, it explains why Barry seemed so broken, why he carried himself like a man who had left something unfinished. In interviews over the following months, Barry's grief took on the shape of guilt. He said he regretted things he never said. He regretted moments he took for granted. He admitted that life without Maurice was harder than anything he'd imagined. And though he never mentioned a missed call, he didn't have to. His guilt was written across his face. His silence screamed louder than any rumor. One of Barry's closest friends recalled, Barry couldn't look at the stage the same way. Every time he picked up a guitar, it was like Maurice should have been there beside him. The Bee Gees had always been a three-part harmony. Even after Andy's death in 1988, the trio carried on, but when Maurice was gone, the harmony collapsed. Barry and Robin tried to sing together, but something was missing. The warmth, the glue, the stabilizer. Maurice wasn't just a voice. He was the balance that held them in place. In the years after Maurice's death, Barry and Robin struggled to work together. Without Maurice, old wounds reopened. Robin wanted to carry on as the Bee Gees. Barry resisted. He said it felt wrong. The Bee Gees are no more, Barry insisted. Maurice was an equal part, and without him, it isn't the same. Robin disagreed. He believed the music should live on under the same name. The tension between them grew, echoing the disputes of their younger years. And once again, fans pointed to the hole Maurice had left. He had always been the mediator, the bridge. Without him, the brothers drifted apart. And this is where the rumor gained even more power. Fans imagined Barry haunted, not just by grief, but by that one missed connection. A phone call left unanswered, a voice never heard again. It became a symbol of everything unresolved between the brothers. Barry has said many times that his life is marked by regret. About Andy, about Robin, about choices he made in music and family, but when it comes to Maurice, his regret feels heavier. In one interview, Barry confessed, "I think about him every day. I feel like part of me died with him." That's why the rumor of the missed call stings so sharply, because even without confirmation, it feels true to Barry's grief. He is a man who has carried loss in his heart for decades, and the image of a phone ringing in vain fits the narrative of a brother crushed by what might have been. Maurice wasn't just the Bee Gees' backbone, he was also a family man. His wife Yvonne and their two children Adam and Samantha remembered him as funny, gentle, and endlessly supportive. Samantha once said that her father's laugh could light up a room. Adam recalled that Maurice never let fame interfere with family dinners, school events, or quiet nights at home. Fans, too, held him in a special place. At Bee Gees concerts, it was often Maurice who drew the loudest cheers when he cracked a joke between songs. He wasn't just part of the band, he was the heart that made the Bee Gees human. When he died, fans left flowers outside the Miami hospital. Tributes poured in from across the world. Yet even among the love whispers of the rumor continued to spread. The idea of that missed call became part of the way fans processed their own grief. After Maurice's death, Barry went through a period of near silence. He avoided the spotlight, choosing instead to stay home in Miami. He battled his own health issues, suffering from arthritis and back problems that left him unable to perform as he once had. When Robin passed away in 2012, Barry became the last surviving Bee Gee. That's when the weight of it all finally hit. At concerts, he would sometimes stop mid-song, his voice breaking, tears streaming down his face. He said performing without his brothers felt like singing to ghosts. In those moments, the rumor of the missed call seemed to grow louder, even if Barry never mentioned it. Fans imagined it replaying in his head every time he stood under the lights. The call unanswered, the silence forever. But Maurice's story is not just about his death. His legacy is everywhere in the music. He co-wrote many of the Bee Gees' biggest hits, played multiple instruments, and shaped their sound in ways that often went unnoticed. When fans listen to How Deep Is Your Love, or To Love Somebody, or Lonely Days, they're hearing Maurice's fingerprints in the bass lines, the harmonies, the arrangements. Barry has often said that Maurice was the true musician of the group, the one who could play anything, fix anything, and bring any idea to life. Without him, Barry admitted, the Bee Gees might not have survived as long as they did. So what about that call? Here's the truth. No one knows if it happened. It has never been proven. It lives only as a rumor, retold in whispers and fan speculation. But sometimes, rumors tell us more than facts. Because whether or not Maurice ever picked up that phone, the image is powerful. It represents the regret Barry has carried since that night. The things unsaid, the words unspoken, the chance forever lost. And maybe that's why the story lives on. Not because it's confirmed, but because it feels true. Because it embodies the heartbreak of losing someone you love and realizing you'll never get another chance. Maurice Gibb's final days left Barry with a silence that has never lifted. Whether or not the phone call happened, Barry has lived his life like a man who missed something he can never get back. When fans hear him talk about his brothers now, the emotion is raw. His eyes water, his voice shakes, and he admits the pain never leaves. And that's why the rumor matters, not as a fact, but as a symbol. Because in the end, the Bee Gees' music was always about love, loss, and longing. And Barry's life after Maurice became the greatest example of that truth. What do you think? Do you believe Maurice tried to call Barry in those final hours? Or is it just a story fans created to explain the unbearable silence? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, the untold truths, the haunting rumors, and the legends who shaped music history, make sure you subscribe to RetroWaves. Because the music never dies, and neither do the stories.